morning. We're on part 2. This is STARC, and I'd like to introduce Mark Baham, their executive director, and my friend Tia, who's next to him. So this is on budget on the page 244, plus they did provide the red folder, so in that jacket you do have some supplemental things. Mark, I'm going to turn it over to you, let you introduce yourself, what y'all's mission, your funding, things like that.
Yeah. Mark Baham, director at STARC, 25 years this year. Board of Directors named me the director in January of 2019. Biggest privilege of my life to do what I do. I'm blessed. Feel like I was put on this earth to be where I am. So I absolutely love it, and like I said, blessed beyond measure. I want to thank Tia. Tia is in the middle of her habitat build today, so that's why she's in her rosy outfit. But she took the time to come and be here with me this morning, so I appreciate that very much. Want to thank each of you. Look forward to working with the new council members and working with you guys moving forward in the future. But I greatly appreciate y'all's support over the years and the support of this great parish. As it says on our sheet there, and I'm not going to read it verbatim, but we serve about 600 folks through a variety of services, day programs, residential services, in-home care, which is basically like a home health kind of thing, supported independent living, supported employment where we find them jobs in the community. But I just wanted to take a second in my open and talk about what's near and dear to my heart, and that's our residential community homes, because this service is so crucial to our families who are not outliving their loved ones with disabilities. So they're frantic wondering what's going to happen to them when they can't care for them anymore. So they can entrust that care to us at STARC. We currently have 6 staffed 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, which is hard to do. We bought land last year to build our 7th, and then I have a long-term plan to build an 8th, and then see where it goes. It's has a waiting list of about 40 folks on that list. A waiting list is not a service, so we want to continue to build these homes. But the cost to build these homes and to operate them is very, very expensive. And then the problem also is there is a moratorium. Louisiana has a moratorium on beds. So I can't just open a home. I have people that need this service. I can't just build a home and move them in. I have to find another provider across the state somewhere that's closing down or downsizing, buy the bed license from them at the tune of about $30,000 a piece to be able to staff that, to fill that home. So it's hard. That's why a lot of agencies are closing them down. Another thing, I could talk about STARC all day, so you might have to shut me up, Arthur. But
you got it.
But another thing, at STARC, we serve all abilities, from total care to high functioning. We're one of the very few that do that. Most agencies only serve the higher functioning individuals. The total care folks get put in an institution or stay home with family, and they try to figure it out. We serve all abilities. I'm very proud about that at STARC, because when families call us, they're calling us because they're desperate for help, and we're going to figure out a way to help them. If you don't mind, I would just like to read a quick letter from a parent. Connie and I had a pleasant time together. 2.5 days was plenty long enough. I have very little strength. Keeping up with Connie is pretty rough. Ha ha. Please take care, as all of y'all have, of Connie. I hope I am wrong, but I believe this is her last home visit with me. But I know Connie, my little angel from heaven, will be taken care of. I know that for a true fact, as she has been with STARC since 1995, and I can see she is kept busy, healthy, clean, and most of all happy at being at STARC. And most of all, I am also happy and not worried that I have to leave Connie. With all of my heart, I thank all of you every day for your kindness and love for Connie and all other special needs adults. So just wanted to share the difference and put a kind of a story to what we do and the difference that it makes for these families. So with that being said, we'll talk a little bit about the questions that were asked. Expenditures, budgeted expenditures. First off, you have their operations. We have 3 major projects coming up. We're building the new home. That's very expensive. We're looking at probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $1.5 million. We are building a respite facility. I'll plug that real quick. We're very excited about that as well. It's a weekend respite. We're going to alternate for adults and for children. You have a son or daughter at home with special needs. You and your significant other can't get off for the weekend, just the two of you. We're going to have a program where you can check them in. We will care for them for the weekend. It'll be at our property where we have our game room, our park with our walking path, soon to be movie theater. So that's a program we're very excited about. I have another letter. I'm not going to read y'all another letter, but we're excited about that. And then our day services, we have a huge waiting list for that. Staffing has been an issue, but we have a huge waiting list for that. So our administration facility right now is half-day program, half admin. We've got a 10,000 square foot area upstairs that we already have plans to build out. Those plans are about 6-8 years old, so they're going to be much more. But that's going to be probably $1 million, if not more, elevator, the whole nine, to get that done to where we can make the entire downstairs for our adult program and move administration up to the top. And then to run it, I mean, we're having to pay double time overtime. We're having to pay we're working with 4 staffing agencies because we've been so short-staffed since COVID. 4 staffing agencies that we have to pay about $30 an hour for jobs that we pay $13, $14 an hour for. Payroll, adjustments and increases in benefits, employee raises based on merit. We put that in place. Staff are very excited about that. Filling opening positions. Couple notes I had on that. We have upped our life insurance. We had $10,000 for every employee. We now have upped that to $25,000. That's a benefit that people are excited about. Health insurance increase. We have absorbed that increase over the last several years to where we don't pass that on to the employee. HRA, health and reimbursement account, we put that in place for our folks. And then the Center for Medicaid Services has changed how we can do our day programs. So we used to be able to do what's called sheltered workshops. So I know you've heard of the Mardi Gras beads, and we would have so many folks that would work on those Mardi Gras bead jobs and earn a paycheck. Well, we had what was called a sheltered workshop certificate where we could pay sub-minimum wage. So I had folks that could sort 2 or 3 beads an hour. They can't work at a minimum wage level, but they still loved their job and they loved their check. We can't do that anymore. Now CMS wants us bringing everybody on outings all day, so that comes with a cost. Going to the movies, going here and there, and we can't just constantly ask families to money, so we've had to fund that as well. Contract services, like I just said, the contract agencies are very expensive. We also have many unfunded contracts, art therapists, residential therapists in our homes working with our folks, insurance going up as everything else, and then insurance and depreciation due to the additions. Fund balance, T, I'll let you kind of speak on that a little bit.
So the operating budget for our fiscal year, we have a fiscal year into June 30, has a shortfall of about $28,000, and that is expected to be funded from just reserves over the last couple of years. As of September 30th, 2024, in cash, STARC has $6.3 million, and the purpose of a lot of those funds is to do these capital projects that Mark just mentioned. We've been talking about the new residential home as well as respite for a couple of years now, and those are in the very near future for STARC. So that's where some of those capital funds will be going. When we look at operations, to break down that $6.3 million, operating expenses, we've got about 1.4, and that's just to cover the operating cost of the organization with the current programs that we have, as well as the budget anticipates growth in those programs. Then we've got capital projects, millage, and investments, and those accounts, millage is used to once again satisfy operational needs as well as some of these capital project needs, and we set aside capital project funds and investments as well to help support those projects.
And then the rest there is pretty self-explanatory. A couple stats I just wanted to share. 83%, and this is in our field, 83% of providers are turning away new referrals because they can't staff it. This is nationally. 63% of providers like STARC are closing or discontinuing programs because they just can't afford to run them. thank God we can with the support of the parish. And 92% are struggling to achieve quality standards because you're just having to hire whoever you can get to come through the door, basically. So that was a few stats. But other than that, I'm proud of everything we do at STARC. I see the difference in the lives of the families every day, and yeah, just glad to be here. Thank y'all. We'll entertain questions.
All right. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Tia. Mr. Kugel?
What do you see as your biggest need that's not being met? Would you say?
Staff.
Okay. And is that due to
Quality
just,
staff, and probably having to really look at, as we were talking earlier about a pay study, probably really looking, and we've gotten wages up since I've taken over in 2019. We were at $8.75 an hour, I think, and we've got our lowest rate starting now is $12 an hour. So we've gotten that up, but to get quality people, I mean, I'm dealing with a young man right now that his family doesn't know what to do. He's got pica disorder, so he eats anything he can grab, he eats and swallows. So you can't just hire somebody $12 an hour as a care. You got to find somebody that can handle those behaviors and knows how to work with that. So we need to do a rate study because we've got to be able to pay some higher rates and get some folks that are a little more qualified in some of these positions. But staffing, because we have to pay so much in contract services, I mean, 2.5 times what we normally pay. And that will allow us to do more. Plus, it will allow us to build new homes if we can buy the bed licenses, those kind of things. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Kugel? I mean, Mr. Corbett?
Yeah, I appreciate your issue with the staffing agency. But by the way, I want to first say I appreciate all that you guys do for the parish and the residents of the parish. The service you provide is invaluable to people who have the needs that you're addressing. But in terms of your staffing agency, what's your plan to, I guess I got a couple questions. One, what's your plan to wean yourself off of staffing agencies? And what's the net to the employee relative to what the staffing agencies? The staffing agencies are costing about $30 an hour. What's the net to the employee?
I don't know that. They don't share that with us. We're under contract with them. We pay the staffing agency. They pay their employee. There is some chatter between them and our staff, so I think they make a little bit more. But we do other things for our staff to show our appreciation. But yeah, I mean, ideally, we would love to not have to use them at all, and that's where we're trying to move. But we're getting more in the door now than we were a year ago. But so many people are still seeking unemployment, and I mean, we'll have 5 interviews scheduled in a day, have 3 people's calendars cleared, and 1 might show up. And we've been dealing with that ongoing. So I think we're gonna have to figure out a way to pay those positions a little bit more, is what it's ultimately gonna take to be able to attract more people. I don't even know if that'll do it. A lot of people do what they do with STARC because they have the heart to work with the population we work with.
Well, in previous life, I had a lot of contract employees. I had the details of what they actually netted versus what we were paying for a fee. So I'd encourage you to go get that from your contractors. There's no reason they won't provide that to you. You should know what your delta is that you're paying on top. I think that if you go look at those 2 studies I referenced, you can find ways to go raise your salaries to make them more competitive and still save money or hire more people. Without that, absent that information, it'd be very difficult to shoot in the blind. But there's no reason, even if they won't give it to you, I can't imagine they won't. But
So you hired them and they gave you that information? You hired their agency and they gave you that information on what they were paying their staff?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I was hiring for positions. Because I also had to transition those positions. Our intent was always to use them, to hire them for the probationary period and then transfer them on to be regular employees. And there was a minimum amount of time that we had to keep them, or we had to buy out the contract in order to go make that transition. But you may find that your lowest labor rates are well below what they're netting, or you may find that your numbers are right with what they're netting, and so the person that's really making the money is the agency.
Well, that's what it is, and I'll tell you what makes me believe that is I have several that have come to me that work for agency, and they want to leave the agency and come work for STARC. So that tells me it must not be much different, but they just want to come work with STARC, I guess, because of the culture. But we're not allowed to hire them for a year. They have to be away from that agency for a year.
Is that, again,
That's in a contract.
well, again, I would encourage you to go push hard on renegotiating that contract. We renegotiated ours. We had a buyout that allowed us to go pay a
We
fee.
can do that. I'm sorry. We can do the buyout.
Yeah, but the trade, you can't, a trade-off for a year is a long time to put them at $30 an hour in order to then transition them at some point in time in the future. So I think I'd encourage you to think about driving a harder bargain as to how that contract's structured. If there's anything I can do personally, I'm happy to help you.
I probably will reach out
But
to you.
there's opportunities there, and so if you're paying people at $30, seems like you have a lot of range between your base salary for somebody coming in from the outside and the $30 you're paying. That's one. Second thing is, you talked about the moratorium on beds. Why does the state, I'm sorry for the education, but
Yeah.
why would the state limit the beds?
So, and I'm very excited. I just got the call on Halloween Day that I was selected to serve on a board, a statewide board, that I'll be spending a lot of time in Baton Rouge working with the legislature on these kind of things to get these laws changed. But the best advocate are those that can advocate for themselves. So when people go to Baton Rouge with disabilities and they get in front of Congress and testify, the ones that are doing that are the highest functioning folks. They're not your ones that are nonverbal, that need total care. So they're at Congress saying, we all want our own home, we all want our own apartment, we don't want these institutionalized settings. That's great, but that's not the reality for everyone. It's just not. And I challenge anyone to come tour our residential homes and you tell me you're walking through an institution. Our homes are beautiful. 8 private bedrooms. These folks live wonderful lives together. But the reason is it's looked at as an institution, and they're trying to get rid of that. So they don't want any new ones built.
Okay. And I know you've got one planned on Fremo. Can you guys give me kind of the time frame?
Yeah,
We've
Shamrock.
talked
So
about
it's
that a lot.
been when we buy the land, it's been about
It's been,
a year, a little
yeah,
less,
about a
maybe.
year.
So we bought the land, then we dealt with it. I knew we were gonna have to elevate it, but it turned into be a little bit more than I thought. So we're trying to buy some mitigation from another property in the same zone. I don't understand all this language, but to where we don't have to build this house way up off the ground. So that's been a challenge. And then Army Corps of Engineers came in and determined it was wetlands. So we've been fighting that battle. We just won it. We're okay there. So 3 months, I expect something to be happening on that property.
Good. Well, I look forward to coming to a groundbreaking.
Yes.
It's right next to their offices.
Yeah, right across the street, so it'll save from transportation. Our folks can walk right across the street. We have 2 in Mandeville by our Mandeville Center. It's so much more convenient. It helps with staffing. If staff misses here, you've got extra staff you can call around. So we try to keep everything somewhat bunched together, even though we are spread across the parish.
Okay, last question I got, go back to your staffing, what percent of your employees are paid by our contract employees?
I just tried to get that when I heard you ask.
You can ROM it for me. Rough order of magnitude.
I really don't, I need to get back with you on that,
Sure.
because I don't want
That's
to give
fine.
you
Okay.
a way wrong number. It's a lot.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Right.
But I'll email the author. Where would you like me to send that information?
Just send it to the council, our council email, which is council@stpgov.org.
Okay, you got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking 30 probably positions, if not more. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot.
It's a place where you're paying a high premium,
Yes,
so it's an opportunity.
yes.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
an opportunity for us to get our workers' wages up.
That's
Yeah.
right. Get your
Well,
wages up and also reduce your, you can probably do both. Bring your wages up and lower your costs and have a better workforce.
Well, when it first started and they said 30, and I didn't think it would go on this long and this long and this long, so we'll have to figure it out.
Right, okay.
But I will reach out to you to give some advice there.
All right, thank you.
All right, Mr. Phillips and then Mr. Impastato.
When you were purchasing the land for the buildings you were talking about, did you reach out to planning and development to see what would, what properties you could probably buy that didn't need land mitigation and all that, as far as?
Well, our last two, we already had the property in Mandeville. We had 12 acres off Viola. This one, just where it was. So our facility is here, Shamrock, there was 1.6 acres. So I'm just looking at it saying, man, I would love to be in that spot. So normally we would, if I was just said, look, I'm gonna build a home somewhere, yes. But this spot was very valuable to us because of the location.
No, I understand. I just wondered if you did reach out to them.
I didn't in that situation, but I will.
I was looking at your chart here, so it seems like at least 50% of all you serve is on the east side of the parish, Slidell area.
Yeah, that's a close number, a little less.
So all your facilities reflect that? Like, you have majority of facilities over in that area?
Yes, so we have an 8-bed home in Slidell. The one we're gonna be building is an 8-bed home. We have 2 4-bed homes, and then right now we have 3 8-bed homes in the west. One of those is a retirement program, so those ladies don't leave the home. They're all aging in place. One lady comes to the day program, which is right there, so they're able to walk. But yes, so our day program in Slidell has a lot more folks than our day program in Mandeville. So that's why our day program in Slidell is already bigger than our program in Mandeville, and we're having to expand our program in Slidell. We do not have to do that in Mandeville.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Mr. Pistato, can you also email the rest of the budget detail? Can you send it over?
On top of the budget there? Okay. Got that. Thank you, sir.
Great job with everything.
Appreciate it.
Also, a lot of compliments on what you all do. Thank you.
Yeah, we really do appreciate y'all and all the work you do. Yes, Councilwoman Tam?
You do a great job. I really envy that you have the patience and the knowledge and the technical to help these people. I think my question, going back to the beds, you said you had to buy beds. I know in nursing homes, they're limited, I think, with beds. Do you fall in that category, or is this a separate category for?
It's a little bit different of a license. We have to buy ours from ICFDDs, which is a little bit different than what nursing homes are.
Okay.
But they do have large institutions, like 50-bed institutions like Pine Grove and agencies like that downsize so we can buy beds from there. The last one we bought were from Monroe. They closed down a home. But a lot of these larger institutions, we buy our beds from them.
And I think I know the question, but why do they limit the beds that you have to buy them? Is that because of the pay, what they're paying?
But I don't follow.
Well, why are you limited? Is that state or is that federal?
Well, we can buy as many as we can afford as long as they're
Why
out there to be.
is there a statewide cap?
Yeah, I assume there's a cap.
The moratorium.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
The
All right.
moratorium. Look, I would love to have 20 homes. My staff will pay me, but I'd love to have 20 homes out there. But it's a hard program to run and operate. But it's such a need. It's such a need, and it's the way STARC, as long as we always have the support of this parish, we'll be able to run them the way we do, and it's great for our families.
Okay. Thank you. You do a great job.
Thank you.
All right, looking to my left, looking to my right. I don't see anything. Thank you very much. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
all.
Keith,